Should we talk about like how many times we attempted to do this episode last time and we just had to give up?
Unbearably too many times.
I think we like stopped recording and started recording like 5 to 6 times.
Yeah.
And every time we'd have to do the intro and every time we'd fail.
I know I'm kind of nervous about doing the intro right now, you guys, because of how many times we messed it up last time, but hopefully we get it in one shot.
Yeah. Okay, we got it.
Okay, let's go.
Hi, I'm Tika.
I'm Aditi.
And I'm Harini, and welcome to another episode of Voice Notes to My Best Friend.
See, we killed it. We killed it. I remember in one of our takes, Tika was like, "Hi, I'm Tika." I was like, "Hi, this is Aditi." And Tika and Harini were like, "What the hell?" And I was like, "Wait, what?" And they were like, "This is Aditi. Aditi is here. This is Aditi's podcast." And I was like, "Wait, I didn't read it like that." I was like,
And
"Wait."
your mom was like in the background, she was taking a shower. Like it was just like there's just too much going on.
I'm gonna kill
And
you
then we
right
started
now.
recording an episode, and like Aditi's like mid-sentence, you were like, wait, actually, I feel like we really can't do this episode right now.
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
was just not happening. But you know what? This always happens when the three of us haven't had time to hang out and we try to record an episode. It never works. We just need to stop and just like actually catch up. So I feel like we got all that out of our system last time we tried, and then this time we can like hopefully get some content out, you know?
Yeah, totally. I
Let's
mean,
see.
like,
Let's see.
I feel like anytime I get to like talk to you guys, I just want to like keep talking and keep talking and keep talking. So, yeah, totally, totally. Hopefully this time it works out, you know?
Okay, great. So for today's topic, we're going to talk a little bit about confidence and some of our experiences and journey with it, and also what we're currently potentially struggling with when it comes to confidence. I think this is a really broad topic, but I'm curious to see like where the conversation goes. And I think you guys are probably the most confident ladies that I know. So I'm hoping to learn a lot from you guys in this session.
That's a very high bar.
I
Really.
If
mean,
you think we're the most confident ladies you know, I'm sorry for you, Harini.
Yeah,
it's true. No.
we got a problem here.
Yeah.
So I guess I have a question for you guys. Um, if you have a time or like an experience that you can share of when the most confident you felt and like when the least confident you felt, I feel like that would be kind of like a cool starting point.
Wow. Like, it's interesting when you say that. Like, I guess it kind of goes like, what do we define as confidence? Is it like a feeling that you like, you're doing something and you're like, dang, like I'm crushing this type of thing? Or is it more like, I was listening to a podcast episode recently that I loved. It's the Mel Robbins podcast. She's amazing. And she did one on confidence. And she was saying that in her definition of confidence, confidence is like the willingness to try. Even when something might be scary, you're not sure if like you're gonna excel at it. It's just like the willingness to try is confidence, which I love that definition. And I've just been reflecting on it a lot. So I'm curious, like when we say like the time when we felt the most confident, is it like that feeling that we had, or is it like we just like had the willingness to try something that we were not sure about and we just like attempted to go forward with it? So that's not really answering your question. That was just like adding another question to your question. But
I think I think confidence, like that's like the action you take, but it's like confidence to me is almost like the emotion behind that action. Like for example, trying that thing that you're trying, are you doing it knowing it may not work out and you're okay with that, or are you doing it afraid of the outcome? And I think that's where like a low confidence person would be like maybe like I don't know, like I'll probably fail at this and everyone's gonna hate me for it, right? Versus like someone with a higher amount of confidence would be like, you know what, like I'm trying this thing, it might be new, but like I'll probably fail, but it's okay. It gives me an opportunity to learn then. So I think I would say that defines confidence to me.
Yeah, I feel like I love both of those definitions because I didn't really think of it that way. I think I felt of it more of as a feeling, but I like your definitions more because I feel like the way confidence is branded is like the way you're perceived, you know? I feel like a lot of people are like, "Oh, that person is so confident," and they have like an outgoing personality or they're loud or like, they don't care what anybody thinks. But I like the idea that it's more of an action or more of like a mentality than like how you perceive yourself. Like I think confidence does come in with how you perceive yourself, but it's very like other people based when you see it that way rather than like how you view yourself. Uh,
Yeah.
That's actually really quickly, that's actually such a good point because I was actually talking to my friend recently, like a couple weeks ago, and he was just talking about how he's like, "Oh, I feel like you're so calm, like you're finally back at your college self. Like you're so confident again." And then I was like, "Wait, what do you mean?" I feel like I was like so insecure in college. I was not confident at all. And he was like, "Really? I feel like you were so confident in college, and then, maybe in the middle, you were a little lost, like trying to figure out what's next for you. And then now you're back at that level." And I was like, "That's crazy that I was able to give you a perception of the fact that I was confident, but internally, like, I wasn't at all. Like, I feel like it's only been like an upward growth internally, but like, I feel like with confidence, when it's like something that people are viewing you as, it's like almost like sometimes you're so good at fooling people you don't even know. That was me in college.
It's I resonate with that so deeply, Tika, because this is something that I get a lot. Not to toot my own horn, but a lot of people say like I have a really good speaking voice. Like it's easy for me to give presentations, it's easy for me to like communicate with other people. And a lot of the feedback that I'll get at work is like, wow, like you're just like so poised, you're so confident in what you have to say. And I'm like, you don't know, but I'm like shitting bricks here. Like I have no idea what I'm talking about right now. And like I'm confused. Like I'm just trying to figure this out, right? But like the perception that people have is that, oh, like she's very equipoised, she's very confident. And it's interesting because like I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing to be perceived that way. Like maybe a part of confidence is like if you just try externally to feel confident, internally you start feeling it too. Like I know Aditi, you always give this example, like during COVID, every single day, even though you were working from home, you would get up, you'd get dressed, you put perfume on. And just in that act of doing that, you felt a lot more confident. You felt more like yourself, right? So it's like maybe there is that external component of like, if you just like try to seem confident, like the confidence will come too. But I do think like the deeper inner work is like actually feeling that you are confident in yourself. And sorry, I'm going like on a tangent, but there's like so many different layers of confidence. It's like confidence in like the way I look, confidence in the way I show up in my relationship, confidence in the way that I'm perceived at work or in my career. Like there's so many different aspects of it that we could unpack. So I'd love to see like where we go with that too. But I also think that there's like those layers of confidence as well.
do you think that those layers are connected though? Because like I feel like even though they're different types of confidence maybe or like different levels of confidence, I think that it's kind of difficult if you are low in one aspect to be high in another. Like true confidence, not fooling people, like where like you can, you know what I mean? Because like you can fake it till you make it in every avenue, obviously, but I wonder if you can fake it till you make it in every single one. Like I wonder if they're connected in any way.
I think I have two things to say. Like one, I think that sometimes if it is really high in one and low in the other, you almost like it's like the locus of control for you, right? So it's like if you're confident and you appear confident externally, but you're not doing that inner work like we talked about, you're almost like giving the locus of control for you to somebody else, and you're so dependent on it every single time. Versus like if it's more of an so, and it's very like outcome focused, like and it almost becomes like validation. Versus like when you're doing the internal work and also the external work, it's more of a balance. It's not solely on you, it's not solely on the other person, it's more of a balance. And I actually think like so recently at my job, I started conducting interviews. And I've only conducted like maybe like 6 interviews so far. And I can people that like are pretending to be confident, they won't stand up and be like, hey, I don't know how to do this. I'm not
Yeah.
aware of this. They'll just pretend like they know everything. But the people that are confident will be like, you know what? I don't understand the space. Like, I'm going to do more research about it. So thank you for bringing it up. And I think that willingness to like raise your head up and be like, hey, I actually don't know this is what confidence is. Because like we can't know everything, right? Especially we're interviewing for a job.
Totally. I love that you brought that up, Tika, because in that podcast episode I was listening to, Mel Robbins literally says that. She's like, there's a difference between bravado and being confident. And she was like, usually the most confident people in the room are not the ones that are like talking all the time, trying to get the attention on them. They're just like, quietly observing. And you can just tell, like, it's like this like aura that you have around you. And I just really loved like how she phrased it that way because like you're so right. Like you can tell when somebody is like that inner work that they've done to truly like accept who they are, love who they are, show up authentically as who they are, and do the work, right? Like if our definition of confidence is just trying and like being open to trying, like they can do that without having to worry about their ego, their pride getting in the way. So I feel like that's like a really, really good point, and something that I was like reflecting on as well.
I actually think it's so crazy, like when you guys are talking about it, because I didn't even realize that that's like what builds confidence is like trusting yourself or like loving who you are or like trying something new and just going for it without fear. Or like you have fear, but it's not rooted in like disbelief in yourself. It's just rooted in, this is a universe, anything can happen. I didn't realize that that journey is kind of parallel to confidence. And so like I feel like I did a lot of that like inner work during COVID actually, and I feel like that's when my confidence started to grow. And I'm kind of surprised that it took me that long to realize that like it's kind of hand in hand, like it really isn't how other people perceive you, it's like how you perceive yourself. Because if you don't really care about anybody else's opinion, then you're good, right? Like, of course you'll have confidence because you trust yourself.
And
So,
it's like I was reading this the other day. It was like I was reading like a blog, and she was literally saying, she was like, the more that you embrace who you are and yourself, the more beautiful you'll look. And when you're saying that, it actually reminded me of, I think we've talked about this before, but it's like when you were doing that work on yourself, I remember like you started glowing more, and you still have that glow, but you started glowing more because I could see that you were doing that inner work on yourself on your outside.
which is so crazy. I also think, actually, like the more I think about it, like trust plays a very big part in confidence, like trusting who you are. So I feel like maybe we can also talk about our journey with confidence. When I was younger, I like would always need my parents' approval, like always, like in anything I did, I'd be like, "Is this okay? Is this okay?" And I don't know if this is like an eldest daughter syndrome, I don't know, but I'd be like, "I need you to tell me that it's fine." But in those even very small decisions that I couldn't make by myself, I don't think anyone realized that I wasn't learning how to like make decisions on my own. I wasn't trusting myself. Like it got to the point where I would be like announcing like when I was using the restroom to my parents. And my dad was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I don't know actually what I'm doing right now. And so I think like because I was seeking that approval from my parents when I went out into the world, I was kind of seeking approval from everybody, actually. Like, I couldn't really make that many decisions on my own. Like, if I wanted to wear a certain outfit, I would send a picture to my friends, you know? Like, now it's kind of like, okay, I want your opinion, but I'll go with what I want. Before it was really like, should I wear this? Like, and if you say no, that it's ugly, I probably won't wear it. You're like literally dictating, which is such a
Yeah.
small thing, but I feel like it comes from these small steps, you know? Or like if I had to send a text to somebody or something, like I'd be like, does this text sound okay? Like why isn't whatever I just want to say authentically enough, you know? And I
Yeah.
feel like in it was so ingrained in my mental that I had to somehow get somebody's okay before I did something that couldn't do anything on my own really. Which is kind of like scary to think because then how can you really do anything on your own? And then, like I mentioned, I think through COVID, because I had to spend a lot of time alone. Like I was like quarantining in my room for 4 months because I worked at a hospital. I spent a lot of time alone. So like whatever decisions was making was kind of just to myself. And then the more decisions I took on my own without approval, like I started being like, okay, wait, I can do this. I don't need someone to say it's okay. My okay is enough, you know? But yeah.
I love that. That's such a beautiful like story you shared. I feel like I've had a different experience with my journey with confidence. Like I think I was really blessed with like incredible parents who really wanted me to like be independent and be like yeah, like confident in my decisions, and they were very supportive of those decisions too. But I think for me more recently, like, you know, getting married, like starting starting this new phase of my life. Obviously, like I think when you're going through these experiences, it's so easy, and like also like moving away from my family and friends, the the support system that had kind of allowed me to like be this confident person wasn't there anymore. So I didn't have people just like validating like what I was saying or what I was doing. Like for the first time, like I had to feel it internally and not have like my support system around me saying like, yeah, you go Harini, like what you're doing is right. Or no, like maybe you should like, you should check on this again. So it's been like a lot of work for me, and I don't think I'm at a space to say like, yeah, I feel super confident right now, because a part of like, starting my life with somebody else is like there are perceptions that I have that are a little bit um like there are certain perceptions that I have that are a little bit like clouded, or maybe I do need to relook at them. And so in that way, like, being able to like think flexibly and like be emotionally empathetic to the new relationships in my life, and understanding that and like learning how to be flexible in situations, that is really important. But I feel like what I'm trying to work through is how do I do that but still stay true to what who I am, especially when like the support system that I've had growing up and having around me all the time is not there to validate it. And that's been a really, really tough journey for me, because for the first time in my life, like I have to be my advocate and also recognize that, wait a minute, like somebody has a point here. Maybe like I should actually like rethink this, or like look at this in a different light, or reframe how this is like landing in my head. So it's been really interesting because like parts of it, like I see myself like having to like do that reframe work and like accept and be empathetic to the new relationships and new decisions that are coming into my life. But then at the same time, sometimes I feel like I have this like identity crisis where I'm like, who am I now? Like, am I just like always constantly bending to the needs around me? Or do I still have that like inner like grit of like, yeah, and that inner confidence of like what matters to me? And am I willing to fight for it? And like maybe sometimes the way I fight for it is by not fighting. And then maybe other times it's that like I actually do have to like, like say something here. So it's just been a really interesting journey because I feel like when your support system has changed around you and you're in a new environment, that can really take a toll on your confidence, especially if you're a people pleaser like me and you crave validation a lot from the people that are around you. So I don't know if that made sense, but
Is that like when you were speaking about perception, is that where you were talking about? Is the perception of what confidence looks like to you, or the perception that you've developed since like getting married? Like what do you mean by perception?
um wait, so sorry, can you ask the question again? I think I'm a little bit confused.
Because you were like, I have my perceptions. So what did you mean by perception?
Like, you mean like before I got married versus now?
Hmm.
Oh, I think what I meant was like I had a support system around me, and that support system was like helping me like, yeah, like feel confident in the decisions that I were making. Like they were very validating. But now it's like because that support system is looking different and has changed for me, I have to kind of learn how to be that person for myself and like actually like feel confident in what I'm saying and doing. That's kind of what I meant with that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it's interesting because, like, you've kind of said it a couple times now that you had that validation growing up. And so there's a couple things. I think it's very interesting that as children, we are kind of craving that validation. Because I feel like we both said something of that sort, but in like kind of not two sides of the same coin, but just different like ways. So I think that is very interesting. And also, like, is confidence kind of rooted in validation? Like, do we need somebody to tell us that, like, the decisions we're making are correct for us to know that they're correct? And is that where our confidence comes from? Is that where our confidence should come from? Like, if you're making a decision and you're the only person on the planet who thinks that decision is right, everybody around you, your parents, your siblings, whoever, your grandparents, your friends, your partner, everybody's saying that's wrong. But you know in your heart of hearts that it's right. Will you still make that decision because you don't have that validation? You know what I mean? Like, it's
No,
very
I won't. I actually won't. It's so true. Like you're like opening this up for me because I think a lot of the way I feel confident is like the validation of the people around me. And like I had that growing up and now sometimes I don't. And it's led me to like have this like confident crisis, right? Where I'm like, so it makes me think like, was I ever actually confident or was I just kind of like craving the validation around me? Because you're right. Like, if everybody around me was telling me not to do something, I won't do it. Even if in my gut, I
But
want.
that's also like taking in people's opinions, right? Like I feel like sometimes like when you want something so bad, you're not able to see the other side of it, right? Like even like recently, like I had this interview and Harini's like gonna feel bad, but Harini like on the phone for like 30 minutes was like, yeah, but like, like what's great about this company anyways? Like, and I was like, honestly, she's so right. Like, I feel like I was so like tunnel vision into why this company is great and like why I should move there, whatever. And then like I had that conversation, and I think you might have felt bad for introducing the topic, but I think that also comes down to like trusting that other people, like the people that you give that steering wheel to at some moments, have your best interests in mind and are not telling you to do things to act in like their best interest too. So I think that sometimes it's
Totally.
related to confidence, but also not related to confidence. But I do think like in terms of developing confidence, there needs to be like I don't know, I feel like when I was thinking about my journey like of developing confidence and of trusting myself, like there was always like someone helping me there, right? Like I feel like um and that doesn't mean that they were making my decisions, but they were kind of just like empowering me to be confident. Like I remember at cheer, like when I was growing up, I used to do cheerleading. I was like the only Indian girl on the team and like I was like so not confident. I was like, you know what? Like if I could like do a back handspring, that means I'm confident. And I would always make it like contingent upon something. And then came like my best friend Marissa, and she just like loved me for who I was. And she just like empowered me. And then I was able to like for the first time in my life like see myself as like, you know what? Like it's fine if I can't do a back handspring. Like I'm a good person. And then I was able to ask myself these questions like, am I a bad person because I can't do a back handspring? Like, am I a bad person because I haven't learned the skill of like getting tossed up in a basket toss and like and I feel like these like questions that you then ask yourself and you truly answer like I no, I don't think I'm a bad person. I think I'm viewed as a bad person because of XYZ things, right? Like that then shapes your confidence. And I feel like it's not just her, right? Like in my like adult life, it was the two of you when I was going through like my like I don't know, like identity crisis of like how I look and like how I'm not in a relationship. It was the two of you that came in and like helped me and checked me. And then I started asking myself those questions. And there always, I don't know, I feel like there does need to be someone around that like pushes you to really start believing in yourself and asking yourself those questions so that you then start trusting yourself to make those decisions.
I love that. It's such a beautiful point.
Yeah, I really love that too, because I think it kind of answers that question that I was asking before, where it's like, where does that confidence come from? Like, maybe validation is too harsh of a word, and it's not really validation, it's guidance, where
Mhm.
it's like you have guidance of like loved ones that support you, and that's where your confidence comes from. And it's okay for confidence to come from there because, like, somebody has to believe in you, right? I feel like there are very few people that have become like the greats without at least one person backing them. And I think like having that just one person who believes in you, like, is enough for you to like literally achieve anything you want. I think I just watched a clip from Donda, like Kanye West's documentary on his mom, and she was like speaking life into him, like literally like her belief in him was so strong that he
Mm,
believed in himself, but he believed that belief. And
yeah,
so I think it's like interesting because it's like also where that guidance comes from is so important, right?
so
Like Harini, you're
important.
saying your parents, like, of course, like if your parents are speaking life into you, you believe it, right? At this day and age, I feel like I'm able to have conversations with my parents where if they don't agree with the decision I'm making, I'm able to tell them, no, I want to make this decision. And we're able to talk through it, right? And that helps me gain confidence in myself. They sit there with me, supporting me, making that decision. If it goes right, great. If it doesn't go right, they're still there. And even like you two in my life, like, I know that I have two people who believe in me so much that when I don't believe in myself, I can rely on that belief. Just kind of also what you were saying, Tika, with like Marissa and us, like, it's very interesting how it kind of goes hand in hand. And I think the flip side of that is that like people can kind of tear your confidence down as well. And that's a very difficult journey. I feel like everybody goes through that at least once. And so it's interesting how like the journey of confidence is kind of intertwined like in your relationships actually.
It's so intertwined in our relationships. I don't know, when you were sharing that, I just got really emotional because I was thinking about my dad and like how much he would always like instill that confidence in me, like when I was little, like even up until like me getting married, like everything, like every conversation with him, it was always like, well, of course, like this happened because it's you and you're going to change the world. And like, oh my God, I feel I'm going to start crying. But like, it's so incredible like when you have like parents like that, and it just makes me think about being a parent in the future too. And I was listening to another Mel Robbins podcast episode. I've like recently have been obsessed with her.
I feel like she should like sponsor us at this point with
I
having to
know,
get her name.
I know. She's great. And I loved she was interviewing this really world-renowned neurologist, and he was saying that, you know, kids, like especially kids that have like behavioral issues, it's not because they're not motivated. And he was like, he said this specific phrase. He was like, kids, like if they're able to do something, they will do it. You know what I mean? So it's not like if a kid is like acting up or like seems like they're not motivated, it's not because like it's a lack of trying, or it's like this isn't important to them, and it's not that they don't want to read or they don't want to excel. Like if they could, they would do those things and they would do it amazingly. But for the kids that it's not clicking, it may be because like there's a skill set there that they have to learn, and like that skill set is what's like the gap for them right now, is like they just, like maybe it's like emotional regulation, or maybe it's being able to like yeah, like express how you're feeling, and um like understanding where your frustration is coming from. And it was just really interesting when he was sharing all of that, because it made me think like confidence, it's like so sweet, because I feel like we're all inherently, like I feel like if you just took like little Tika, little Aditi, little Harini, like we're all like came into this world with all of the intelligence, all of the confidence, like everything about ourselves. And we just have to like slowly like gather the skills to be able to see what inherently is already there. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like, I don't think that confidence is something that is like this like far away thing that's not achievable. I think we all are already confident individuals, and we just have to now like access the skill set to be able to tap into that inner confidence that we all have within ourselves. I don't know, that was like really esoteric, but like basically what I'm trying to say is like I think it's all there, and like having the support system around you to push it, and like learning the skills to like to share that in your relationships, in your work, whatever it is, will like have that confidence come out.
Yeah, I think that's so well, I have a couple of things to say. Like I feel like it's so crazy how like I don't know, maybe this isn't relevant to other people, but I feel like especially as like Indian children or like children of immigrants, people like I feel like we are always like a little bit dependent on our parents to validate us. And I feel like I've seen all of our parents do this. It's like at times when like we're going through it, like I've seen you, Aditi, go through it with your parents, and then Harini with you, like the only thing that kind of pushes you and allows you to keep trying is like that foresight your parents have, that like no matter what happens, like I have no doubt in my mind you are going to succeed in what you do. And this like unwavering faith that they have is like so large that it then feeds confidence into us, right? And then the other thing I was gonna say is like, I feel like you're right, Harini. Like when you're born right into this world, like you're born without any like perceptions in of the world. And I think like as you grow up, because of what you're saying, Aditi, like the people that try to tear down your confidence or intentionally or unintentionally, you start developing these like self-limiting beliefs, and then like learning how to trust yourself, and then learning how to and then learning who to trust to then allow to make decisions for you or allow to guide you is the journey of then unlearning those self-limiting beliefs and then like actually becoming confident.
Exactly. Somebody brought this up to me recently, where they were like, I think you're the type of person who gets really affected by other people's stories and experiences. And it was such a important point, because I am like that. Like if somebody tells me like their like deep like trauma or experience or whatever, like I will take that on as my own. Like I will be like, this is now my truth. I cannot do XYZ, or like I can do X, Y, and Z because of like something that this person shared with me, right? But like what I really love that this person said was like, you know, you can take advice from other people, you can take their experiences, you can learn from it. And I think that's part of like sometimes like being an empath is like where we get a little bit tripped up, because it's so easy for us to connect with other people that we start thinking that their truths will become our truths. But she was like, you also need to like be able to recognize like I can hear these stories, I can hear these experiences, and I still have to trust my own judgment and trust what's good for me. And that was like a really valuable point, because I feel like sometimes I get so caught up in like the whoa, like this is now my truth, that I forget what my actual truth is. And it could be so different, like no matter how close you are to somebody, like you could literally be married to them and still have a different truth about something. and that's okay, and being confident in the fact that like my truth is different, and not getting so caught up in the experience of what other people are sharing with you. So that's something else that came to mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like um it's like I don't know, I guess like a lot of this is kind of like hand in hand with childhood. I feel like it's coming up a lot. But I've like seen like I have a younger brother and younger sister, and I've seen them grow up and their relationship with confidence. And I remember when we were younger, there was there was this auntie, and she really put my brother down, like, a lot, right? Um, and when we were younger, like, I couldn't understand what was going on, right? Now I'm older, I'm like, "Oh, like, she was just being a real weirdo." But it's really crazy because, like, you guys are saying that you kinda come into this world, like, unfiltered, untouched, and then you go out into the world, and it starts as young as, like, 3, bro. It starts as young as, like, a baby where it's like, like, if you are not careful, like, you can be brought down without even knowing that you're being brought down. And I also think, like, being children of immigrants also plays into that, right? Because I feel and my mom talks about it all the time. She's like, growing up in India, like, our communities were not like this. Like, the neighborhood's kids were everybody's kids. Like, everybody was uplifted together. Everybody was taken care of. Like, there was no separation. You walk into somebody's house, it's your house, you know? And to a certain extent, I actually kinda had that growing up. But there was always the, "Be careful, like, don't let this uncle or auntie speak to you like this. Don't let this person bring you down like this. Don't let this whatever." And as such a young child, I don't think I could compartmentalize that there's somebody like this person doesn't want the best for me for some reason, like, which I'm kind of going down a different rabbit hole, but I think it really did affect my confidence as a child because I just was like, "Oh, like, no, all these people have good intentions, but when they act weird and they bring you down, now it's like you're taking like 5 steps back to figure out how to lift yourself up." So, I feel like it starts with, like, when you're very, very young with, like, the people that take care of your kids and the people that are around your kids, how they speak to your kids, like, what are they saying, like, that's a lot. I guess shout out to, like, all the parents because
Seriously,
a
you guys
lot.
are doing the hard work for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also gonna say, like, what doesn't help is like the fact that you are a child and you don't have the intelligence that you have right now, right? So it's like you now are associating that as your truth. And you're now thinking, like, what this auntie is saying about me, it's true. And actually, like, this auntie who's like a like full adult is literally like intentionally trying to make you feel a child feel bad about themselves. But as a child, like, you're like, all right, like, I guess this is true. Like, I believe everyone's good. And now, like, in your adulthood, you have to work through that.
Isn't that crazy? Like,
Uh,
sometimes I still think about I was literally doing my laundry the other day, and I was thinking about this, and it was such a random memory from, like, freshman year of high school. One of my friend's moms told him that I got chubbier, and for some reason, his dumbass, sorry, decided to tell me that, right? And I was just thinking about that when I was doing my laundry. That was, like, over 10 years ago, and I was like, "But why would she say that?" But it's just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess like it also kind of goes in hand with like how you deal with the things that people say about you, like your perception of yourself, like how you filter those things out, how you're taught to not take other people's opinions as your truth, you know? I think in like the Indian community, respect is such a big thing. And I think for me, that kind of hindered my growth because I was taught to respect my elders, right? So with respect comes like, okay, whatever you say, okay, like, I'll go with it, right?
yeah.
And it's those adults that took advantage of that. It's not my parents teaching me something different. It's not me not behaving in a certain way. It's those adults that took advantage of the fact that this person has been taught how to be a good person, and I'm kind of just gonna take my shit out on them, you know? Uh,
Yeah.
And I think that's a very, like, kind of people of color issue, like, a big issue that I see that, um, that line is blurred.
It's so true. And the whole concept of respect is actually a beautiful, like, it's a beautiful concept, right? And it worked in the context of where it was taught, because it was taught like what you were saying, right? Like being around a community that's uplifting you, being around like elders that would do anything for like the support of their family. So in that trusted community, respect is beautiful because like you trust the experiences of the ones who are older than you, and you know that they have your best interest at heart. But what happens is like that's not the way the world operates now. So sometimes like in that theory of like respect, you feel like everybody out there is like somebody that you need to respect, when actually that might not be the case, and they might not have your best interest at heart. And it's so interesting because it kind of goes back to this like episode that I was listening to about like having the skill set, because this auntie probably just didn't have the empathy, emotional regulation to understand why she was acting that way with your brother, right? And your brother didn't have the skill set to understand that this is just like somebody else projecting on me. And he took that really deeply. So it's so interesting because so much of this isn't like who's a bad person and who's a good person. It's just like these are the truths that we hold on to. And if we don't like break out of our shell, right? And like, how do we do that? It's like learning skills that are hard to learn, learning how to regulate our emotions, learning how to be empathetic, learning how to like understand relationships and see what works with some people, some doesn't work with other people. That's all confidence building, because what you're doing is like protecting yourself and also learning how to like manage your expectations and expectations of other people in relationships. And that's all skill based. So it's like the more we learn those skills, the more like we go into this world confident, and like other people are also confident too. And we stop hurting each other and like having this trauma that takes us into like our like adulthood.
And then I think like, like what I was thinking about when you were talking about this is actually a lecture that I was listening to recently by SB Keshav Maharaj. And he actually talks about like the difference between confidence and being humble. And then also another lecture by Bhutha Bhavan Prabhu that I wanted to combine in here is like Maharaj's take is like I mean, this is not his take, but like the way he explains it also is like be more humbler than a blade of grass, and then be more tolerant than a tree. And the way that Buddhavaban Prabhu explains it is like almost like a meter of like confidence and humbleness. So it's like if you on one end are like everybody hates me and I'm so like I can't do this, like that's like low confidence, low self-esteem, and you're also not very humble because you're putting yourself at the center and you're thinking everything is about you and you're thinking everything is about this outcome that you're going to do. And then in the middle is like I'm just as important as everyone else is, and I'm not going to get judged for this badly, and I'm not going to judge other people badly. That's like healthy confidence, healthy self-esteem, and you're a humble person. And then on the complete right end of the spectrum is that person that comes off like I know everything and I'm better than everyone else. And that's like not high self-esteem, actually. It's low self-esteem, and you're definitely not humble because you have this perception again that everyone, like the world surrounds you.
Love
And
it.
so I feel like that spectrum really highlights what it is to be confident and not cocky, and confident and not like self-deprecating. It's like truly like this mentality of being humble and thinking of yourself as equal to other people.
It's such a beautiful point, because then when you get feedback like, hey, you kind of rub me the wrong way here, or you get some critique at work like, hey, like this like email you sent wasn't the best, you're able to just take that at face value and be like, you're right, like this was really healthy feedback, let me work on it now, and you move on. Versus if you tie your like self-worth to like what you're like externally being like seen as, it's so easy to like get really either really really down about it, or be like, screw you, like I know better than you, why should I even listen to you, and not take it. So like that's such a healthy spectrum, Tika, because it really allows you to like yeah, incorporate feedback into your life. And like that's what true confidence is, right? Like the willingness to try, the willingness to be okay when you make mistakes and being like, yeah, well, I messed that up like monumentally, but I'm going to move on from it.
And also it shows you who you should pick as your role models. It's not the people that are shutting you down, and it's not the people that are telling and yelling off the rooftops that they're right. It's the people that are willing to have a conversation and are always like willing to learn and are kind and humble.
I love that. I really, really love that. I feel like from this whole thing, like I think I've learned that like confidence really is an action. Like I obviously do think it's a mindset, but it seems like it's more of an action than a mentality, you know, especially based on that spectrum and Harini, your example of like not taking things personally. Like I feel like I've even experienced that in my life as I've grown older, where like a certain experience in the past would have killed me because I would have thought that it had something to do with me, but now, like, as I grow older, I'm, like, able to detach from that and be like, "Oh, like, no, it's okay. It's just something we gotta work through," you know? So, it really does feel like it's an action, and the more decisions that you make that you feel like you trust yourself in, I think the more confidence, you build. I actually heard something recently where it's like it was on a podcast where it was like, do small wins, you know, like small wins, like achieve small wins. Like if you don't have confidence, like do something that you know you can achieve so that you have some evidence to show that you have the capability of building that trust within yourself. Which I loved because I think like confidence also kind of like a up and down journey. You don't always kind of stay in one spot. So yeah.
I love that. Maybe to wrap up, do we want to all share a couple of small wins that we've had recently? Or it doesn't even have to be a couple, it could just be like one.
Mm.
I can go. I actually haven't even told you guys this, but basically, after watching Wicked, actually no, not after watching Wicked, after watching like these interviews with Ariana Grande, after watching Wicked, I had this like whole like epiphany on what manifestation really is, and I'll get into all of that, but it basically just like comes down to gratitude, right? And I've been like really, really, really trying to practice gratitude. What I mean by that is like just being grateful for the present moment, like whatever might happen for me, right? And I feel like, like God's really been testing me when it comes to gratitude. And so yesterday, I was coming home from work and I was taking the 508 train. And it's fine. You couldn't see him. Um, so yeah, yesterday I was taking like the 508 train home from New York Penn Station, and like it was 508. So we were all like running to the train station to we were all running to the train, and this guy, he like pushes me so hard that I fell over, and then my phone fell out of my hand into the, like you always wonder, like I wonder what would happen if my phone fell between the cracks. Well, my
No.
phone fell in between the cracks.
My God.
And I was like, okay, like it's okay. Like I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Like I can buy a new phone. Like I'm just so grateful. And then like I basically like took my jacket off and I was like, should I jump down there and go get my phone? And I was like, no, like this platform is way too tall for me to do that. And I'm definitely sure there's rats down there. I'm gonna cry. And so then like I ended up just like I was just like thinking about it. I was like, it's okay. Like worst case, I don't get my phone back. I buy a new one. I'm so grateful. So that
I don't know where you're going with this story, but I'm like really enjoying being here for the ride.
You're so funny.
and then I like went up the elevator and I found this dude who was like coming back with his dinner, and his name is Danny. He's an electrician at New York Penn Station. So like, Danny, you are the best person in the whole entire world. And poor Danny called like the maintenance dude and just waited with me. And he was like, dude, like you got me when I got dinner. Like I got nachos and they're definitely soggy. then I was like, "I'm so sorry, Danny, but thank you so much." And then this man came and basically like I felt so grateful because where my phone fell was like on the actual sliver. So actually another train came in the time being of us waiting for the maintenance guys. And I was like, you know, it's fine. Like if I don't get my phone this time, like I'll just wait for the next train to come to take me home. But the maintenance guy came with like their little claw thing, and because of where it fell, they were actually able to like grab it and give it to me. And then they were also able, and Danny gave me like a bunch of alcohol wipes to like wipe down my phone with. And I didn't cry the whole time. And that's my small win. I was
You know what? That is not a small win. That's like a monumental win. Like that story had so many twists and turns.
I like don't even have any words. Like I think my favorite part is when you gaslight yourself with gratitude to like no extreme. Like, you know what, God, you're giving me this opportunity to be grateful. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be grateful.
no, actually,
I'm gonna use
actually.
this to be grateful. Okay. So do your worst, and I'm just gonna keep being grateful. I'm gonna keep a rat is gonna crawl over my phone.
And you
And
know what happened? Actually, like when we were just like me and Danny were just standing there for like 20 minutes, right? Waiting for the maintenance guys. And like it got a little awkward because like I really couldn't ask him much about his life, right? And then at one point I saw a rat on the platform and I was like, "Oh my God, there's a rat. It's gonna go on my phone." And you know what he said? He was like, "That's not a rat, that's a mouse." I was like, "Whatever the rodent might be, it's still a rodent."
Danny was trying to teach you how to be grateful that it wasn't a rat, it was a cute little mouse.
Exactly. And it didn't touch my phone, so I was really grateful for that.
Yeah, I don't really think I have anything
I
to
can't top that. I
me
really can't
neither.
top that. My small
I
win is gonna be it's like it was 33 degrees outside today, and I still went out on a run.
that's
And
great.
That's
I
huge.
thank you. I was like, dang, like it's cold, but I love running outside. I want to get out, and I did it. And I felt really confident after. Like I can do hard things and do it well. Yeah, it was a really good run.
That's
But
amazing.
Tika's story was way better than that.
No, no, no. I feel like that's huge. Just to get out there and do a run, that's huge.
I'm so grateful that it was a crisp 33 degrees outside, and my hands were like
So
frozen as I
grateful.
was running.
That is so crazy, Teeks. Yeah, I think like I don't really I I really I guess I'm grateful that my brother was dropping me off to the airport because I was going to a wedding last weekend, and it's 4 in the morning. He's having an asthma attack while we're driving, and he refuses to pull over for so that I can drive. And I'm already late, and he's driving like 20 miles an hour, and he's coughing, and I'm like, okay, so now I'm gonna miss my flight, and I don't know if we're even gonna make it in one piece. He luckily pulls over because he pulls over, I get in the driver's seat, and when I start driving, he's like, I just want you to know, like, my emotional IQ is or my EQ is just so high because, like, I put myself in your shoes when I was coughing. And I was like, yeah, if I was Aditi right now, I feel like I'd die. So like I did the bigger thing and I pulled over so that you could drive. I just want you to know that my EQ is so high. And I'm like, yeah, dude, shut up. And so then I drive to the airport. I'm like checking my bag in, and my phone says 38 minutes to board. I haven't even checked my bag in. I walk to the security, get through security, make my gate, get on the plane. Even when Urgent was coughing, like I was not anxious at all. I was like, if I miss my flight, I'll just get on the next flight. And I'm
Wow.
so grateful that I didn't freak out.
Wow.
Like
I
it was
feel
unreal. It was like an out of body experience. I'm telling you, from the minute I left to the minute I got there, I was just chilling. I was a chill girl.
And you should be grateful that for an international flight, they let you check your bag in so late.
You totally forgot. If I had remembered it was international on my way there, I think I would have freaked out a little, but good thing I didn't remember that.
you guys, I feel like what we did right now, I mean, I think mine was like actually a win, but I feel like what you guys just did is like gaslight yourself into just being calm in like ridiculously stressful
Dude,
situations.
That is huge. Are you kidding
It
me?
is huge.
It
That's
is.
such a
That's
huge
the
win.
biggest win. That is actually the biggest
Yeah.
win. Like, it's so true.
Like, I don't know if it has anything to do with confidence, but like gratitude, totally there, you know? But Tika's gratitude is just like unreal. Like, she's like grateful to the universe for giving her hard experiences. Like, I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm so grateful
Wow.
for this lesson you're giving me, universe.
Well, no, because like if I wasn't grateful, I feel like I wouldn't have gotten my phone back, you know? I think I would have just like cried.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know
Yeah.
what the point is with sharing these stories, but I'm really happy we did it.
Yeah, you better keep it.
I
Did
will.
you feel more confident after Tika?
Oh yeah, I felt so confident. I mean, I didn't really like
Aw.
I was just like I feel like I am becoming a better human being.
Aw. You know what? That's the most important thing. That is actually because it's like you have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. So it's like now you know if like you lose your phone, you're freaking out about the train, you know how you're gonna act. And like, you know,
Yeah, I felt better because I felt more confident. I felt better about myself because I was like, if this was a year ago, I would be
yeah.
cursing the guy who pushed me, right? And I feel like I was like talking to someone this morning, and I mean, like, they're a great person, but they were like, oh, like, did you yell at that guy? Like, did you curse him off? And I was like, no, like, it wasn't intentional. Um, and I was like, wow, the fact that I'm able to even view it like that and just be like, you know what? It's fine. Like, he got what he needed to do and I got what I needed. And then we both moved on. And I feel like that's why I felt better about myself.
That's
That
amazing.
makes me so happy. And I
No.
just want everybody to know that this is exactly how our conversations usually go, you know?
Yeah.
Someone will share a story, and then we'll be like, that's so amazing. And then they'll have a revelation like Tika just did. And then we'll continue. And then maybe we'll cry a little. And then maybe we'll laugh
Say,
a little.
say there were no tears.
You cried a little.
Oh, I
Yeah,
did. I did a little bit.
all
Mm,
right. Should we wrap up and then we can like chat if we want to?
okay.
All
Bye.
right. Thanks, guys. Bye.